As we all eagerly wait for Brad Treliving to make a move to improve the blue line, some recent rumors have emerged regarding a new potential trade target for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'll break that down in this episode of Leafs Digest, as well as Benoit. He has been playing unbelievably and has potentially earned himself a spot on this roster going forward. So I'll break all that down. Before we do, a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. About 80% of you guys who are watching right now aren't subscribed. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers, and thank you guys for your support. Now, Darius, this is an interesting guy that I have not heard many Leafs fans talking about, and rumors are circulating. No concrete reports about this guy, but we do know that Brad Treliving is eagerly looking for a defenseman. Whether that is going to happen soon, whether it's going to wait till March for the trade deadline is yet to be seen. But a new potential trade target has emerged. And this guy is very interesting. I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are on him. And this is Will Borgen. Very sound defensively, as you can see from the screenshot here. Can move the puck well around the net. And there's a lot of Leafs fans out there that are upset with Connor Timmins and the way he's played. He hasn't looked like himself. He didn't look like his decent form of last year. What are your thoughts on Will Borgen? What do you think it'll take? And what are your thoughts on this potential rumor that the Leafs could be pursuing Will Borgen?
Yeah, I think that like you said, the Connor Timmins experiment, if we're going to call it that, has probably run its course at this point. We're a few games deep into him coming back. And with the sample size he's shown, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to produce and play at the NHL level consistently. So if you take a look at Will Borgen, a little bit of an unorthodox way of coming into the NHL. He didn't come in right away after getting drafted by the Buffalo Sabres, but he's having a quote unquote breakout year with the Seattle Kraken this year, and they're not having a good season at all. So I think that is a positive. He put up 20 points last year with them. He's probably going to eclipse that this year. He already has 11 in 33 games. He is a right shot defenseman, something the Leafs need. That is really good. He's a little bit of a bigger defenseman too, 6'3", over 200 pounds. You need guys like that. So I think this would be a good move. I don't think it would cost you too much. And if you look at Seattle, they could probably sell off. It doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs. A disappointing season for them so far. So if you're looking at right shot defenseman, this guy has made a difference so far this year. And he's not afraid to get physical at all. If you type his name into Twitter, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll see the videos. He's gotten into quite a few fights over the last couple of weeks, the last few games, and known for standing up for his teammates. So more of what the Leafs are trying to implement. So this does look like a perfect piece the Leafs could go after at a pretty reasonable price as well.
Yeah, and we've seen we talked about Nikita Zadorov, Chris Tanev, these enforcer guys, and I'm showing the screenshots, as you said, that a lot of fights, a lot of enforcer behavior, if I will say that. And like you said, the package might not be too much. There's some packages thrown around here. Timmins in a third or fourth may be able to get it done if you're trying to keep your first round pick. Will Borgen plus Talvanen package could be a smart move, as you can see in the screenshot here. Like, there's a lot of ways to work around this, and this ultimately goes down and back to what Brad Treliving wants. He wants right-handed shot defensemen, whether they're under contract, whether they're pending UFAs. He's kind of experimenting, and I'm hoping that he actually makes a move soon. But like you said, the Seattle Kraken are more likely. Obviously, it depends how well they play up until the trade deadline. But they're a team that hasn't really been discussed too much. And like you said, looking at his stats now, breakout year is the best way to put it. He hasn't scored, but he has 11 assists in 33 games, on track for about 30 or so points, surpassing his season last year. I don't know. I would not mind this guy whatsoever, and this seems like a potential Brad Treliving trade, one where you don't have to give up a first-round pick. And hopefully, again, the Connor Timmins thing is a little bit of a worry. I thought I was expecting a lot more out of him this season, but he would bolster the blue line. I wouldn't suspect this would be the only move, and he's a defensive-minded 6'3" defenseman who kind of reminds me of, at least the frame-wise, of Nikita Zadorov, but who knows what the package would be. What package would you be okay giving up? Do you think Timmins in a third or fourth would be respectable, or do you think it'll cost more or less depending on what other teams are bidding? Because every team needs a defenseman these days.
Well, considering how well, and I know we'll get into it, Simone Benoit and Legason have played, I think you look at, trading Connor Timmins out. If they will take that as a return, I think you can ship a guy like Timmins out. I'm not sure he definitely doesn't have a guaranteed spot in the NHL, and he might be okay if there's injuries. Like, he's been okay being called up, playing a few games recently, but he's nothing special, and he's getting beat a lot. Like, he looks like Bambi. I said it last week in one of the videos we did. He kind of looks like Bambi out there in his own zone sometimes, and you can't have that, especially with where the Leafs want to go this season. So I would look at that, and then probably a low round draft pick, like maybe a fourth or a fifth or something like that. Depending what Seattle wants. But I think that if the trade does go through, it's going to go through closer to the trade deadline. Like you said, Seattle, they're not in a good spot. They're, I think, 10 points out of a playoff spot right now. So they're pretty much all but out of it unless they make a miraculous run. But I think they're going to hold on to a guy like this. So the prices kind of skyrocket, see what they got going on around the league. But if I'm the Leafs, I show interest right away. I think this would be a good move. This is exactly what they're trying to add. I don't want to compare him to Luke Shen, but right hand shot, plays physical, someone that you would like for the playoffs. So could have that type of impact that the Leafs got last year from Luke Shen.
Yeah, and if you kind of mentioned, I suspect the Kraken will wait until the trade deadline, like most teams, to get the bidding going up, and hopefully Brad Treliving is able to make something happen because, I mean, the team looks good at times. They look unfortunate at times. The loss against the Rangers was a little bit of unluckiness, but I think ultimately a move like this will happen, whether it's Borgen, whether it's Chris Tanev, whether it's someone, it will happen soon. So let us know in the comments, would you like a Will Borgen to the Toronto Maple Leafs trade? Now let's get into the Leafs. I guess I have a big decision written here. I guess it's not as much of a big decision depending on where you kind of rank his play, which is Simon Benoit and Connor Timmins. Obviously, Benoit, I've been the Benoit supporter since he's got called up earlier. He's been very good. You can look at the stats here for defensemen with at least 150 minutes of time on the ice this season. Benoit's fourth in the league with a 5 versus 5 goal percentage of 73%. The point is, all of these guys, and Connor Timmins is there at number 3, funny enough, but all of these guys are specifically Benoit and Lagesson as well in his own right. But Benoit has been unbelievable this season. His advanced analytics back it up. He's not going to be the guy who scores the most points. He still has yet to score a point in his 15 games, but you can see his impact out there. You see him shoving guys around in front of the net the other game. He's doing all the little things, and I don't know if Brad Treliving in the Toronto Maple Leafs, maybe even Sheldon Keefe, want to send him back and not have him on the team when they make a trade or when, other players get healthy, whatever happens with Giordano and things like that.
I'm not the coach, but this guy has a spot on the Toronto Maple Leafs,
Yeah.
just the way he's played so far this year. You cannot look at points for him. Obviously, he hasn't scored yet. He's not here for that. He wasn't signed for that at all. So you can't look at numbers like that. You can't look at offensive numbers with this guy. You have to look at the defensive numbers. He starts the majority of his shifts in the defensive zone. They're relying on him for those things, right? That's a good sign. If you can rely on a player like this, to clear the front of the net and play well defensively, it's a very good sign. I love the way he's been playing, and I think Sheldon Keefe is also in that same boat. He loves this player. He's starting almost 17% of his shifts in the defensive zone, in the neutral zone or the defensive zone. So he barely starts in the offensive zone. That's not what he's there for. And like you said, with Connor Timmins in third, Simon Benoit right there in the NHL in fourth as well. So his line, or when they're out there, are expected to score more goals than not. I think that's a really good thing. Even if he's not putting up points, that just shows how he's dictating play when he's out there. The numbers do not lie with this guy. If you look at the defensive numbers, Simon Benoit is one of the better defensive defensemen in the league this year. Dare I say that? He's been really good for the Leafs, and I'm enjoying him or watching him play, because we've been on the Simon Benoit train this whole season, it seems like, and he just continues to get better and more of what the Leafs need, not less of what we've seen in years past where they'll acquire a guy or sign a guy and he starts to play like the rest of the group. No, he's playing physical and aggressive, more of what they need.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that would like a guy like him. And obviously, we see Timmins there as much as we're harping on him. He's having it okay. He just doesn't look great out there. Sometimes the analytics don't match up. And let's not forget that last season for the Ducks, Benoit played 78 games. He had 10 points. He played okay for an Anaheim Ducks team that's defense was very, very poor. So that's why it was interesting to see how they were going to translate to the Maple Leafs. And ultimately, it's translating well, and I agree with you. +5 so far in the season after being a -29 last season with the Ducks. I think ultimately he's here to stay for the foreseeable future. We'll see about Lagesson. We'll see about Timmins. That's ultimately up to them. But I think some moves are coming. So let us know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on Benoit as well as everyone else we've discussed today. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.